Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. And before we get started with this episode, as happy and excited as we are to bring this one to you as well, we want to take a moment of silence for a more somber occasion. In the last 7 days, the last week, the racing community has suffered two tremendous losses across different disciplines. More recently, with the Formula Regional European Championship driver, Delano Van Hoff, who died at a crash at Spa over the course of the weekend. And a little bit more further back than that, Chandra Johnson, wife of seven-time NASCAR Cup Series Jimmy Johnson, tragically lost her parents and nephew as well in an incident. We would just like to extend our condolences, our thoughts and prayers to the family, and just have a moment of silence to remember them.
They opened up a little small track in Danville called the Dixie Speedway, and they wanted to get some black drivers, and they thought they didn't know who to approach, so they went to the police department to find out what black guys had speeding records, things like that. So they told them they want somebody who could drive a race car to see me. So that's how I started racing.
As Matt told us earlier, trying to become the first African-American driver since Willie T. Ribbs and join Randy Bethea and the great Wendell Scott.
He did he drove the car exactly what the car wanted him to do. He got out early. It looked like a little tight, but he kept in the throttle and he got a good lap, and wow, way to go.
There you go.
Woo-hoo.
That's it.
That man, Tony Schumacher, wins. He is the champion for an 8th time. But Antron Brown, if Tony Schumacher loses, becomes the first African-American to win an NHRA title. 376, Antron Brown is the top fuel champion.
These need to be the best 7 laps of Darrell Wallace Jr.'s life.
That was a good first part of it right there.
Turn number 4. Darrell Wallace Jr. is going to get his first win in the Camping World Truck Series. His final time through 3 and 4. He's going to do it. Bubba Wallace wins at Kansas.
Ready. What they gonna say now, baby? Let's go!
Record is equals. Lewis Hamilton wins the Turkish Grand Prix and is a 7-time champion of the world.
Get in there, Lewis. What a way to do it, mate. What a way to win your 7th world title.
For a little bit, and but yeah, like I said, man, what a week it has been. And speaking of the week that it's been, it was a really busy weekend. But before we get into that, welcome once again to the Victory Lane Vibes podcast. We are your hostesses with the mostesses. Obviously, I'm Carl, and tonight we have another full lineup for you. And I'll go ahead and let everybody just say hey to you there. And we have another new member. That's the joy of us starting off as we get new people in all the time. So I'll let everybody go around and just say, hey, what's up? And then we'll kind of dive into some other stuff here.
I'll go first. What's up, everybody? It's Bonte again. Bonte. Yes, we got a good show planned for you guys.
It's Jared. Back again. We really do have a wild episode. Y'all are gonna like this. If you liked last week, you're gonna love this one.
Hey, it's Rashawn. Here again. Took a week off, but now I'm back. It's a very eventful weekend, motorsports all over the world, and we should have a good discussion.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jamal. I am new to the podcast, obviously, and I hope to be back sooner than later. Just a little quick info about myself as a quick introduction. I'm 27 years old, live in the city of Chicago, and been an avid motorsports fan for like the past 20 years. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys all enjoy the podcast.
Yeah, we're happy to have Jamal in also because he incredibly insightful but yeah, so a lot to talk about for this weekend. I mean, a lot to talk about just from the last 3 hours, let alone the rest of it. But yeah, it's a big weekend. They had the 24 hours at Spa, which in itself is a big event. IndyCar was at Mid Ohio, in Mid Ohio, and Simon took a tumble. That was insane. I mean, like I said, to see that, and the fact that they captured the onboard footage of that too, so crystal clear, was just crazy, man. I'm so glad he just walked away okay on that deal.
Yeah. I remember when I first saw the crash, I was like, "What the hell?" But I'm very, very glad he was okay. The Aerostream did his job to make sure that he's safe. Sucks that he got a concussion, but I hope he's come back. Hope he come back soon and finish the rest of this season.
Yes, just shout out to the FIA, just making sure they pull over all the safety improvements from F1 to the other series. Had that car not been, the way it was designed, we may not have seen him literally walk away from the crash. So just shout out to all the safety improvements and the technology improvements in the cars, and hopefully he can heal up and get back soon.
Yeah, I saw where he was out of the car for this weekend over his exposure to G limits. Do anybody know the number from that wreck?
I do not.
Yeah, it had to be an excessive amount. I mean, 'cause those things are already, high G, exposures just driving them. So I cannot imagine what they had to have seen to have pulled him out. But yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, like I said, I'm glad that he was able to walk away. Speaking of Mid Ohio, our boy Miles Rowe, our future, managed to sweep the races for USF 2000 as well. So shout out to him, and that was really cool to see. It's been cool to kind of follow his career and see his success. And as I've been informed, because I am ignorant to some of this stuff, this is basically a feeder seat into Indy Lights. So hopefully he is able to get up to the next step and eventually be on the big stage. It'll be exciting to watch that deal. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Miles Rowe as well. But, we talked about, and he's 23 years old. And I'm like, this dude does not look 23. He looked like he's 16 years old.
Right. I thought he was like 15 at least. Dude is, I'm older than him by about 1 year. That's crazy.
I'm older than him by like 3-4 years now. So it's crazy.
I'm not going to get my age because I remember the floppy disk.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not falling for the bait there. We're not talking about. Yeah, I really thought he was like a teenager or something. To see he was 23, I was like, man, that's crazy. But hey, like I said, man, Josh Berry we talked last week, he's in his 30s and he's just now landing a full-time Cup ride. So, maybe the youth movement is over. I don't know. As far as that goes,
shout out to Will Power for giving him a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely shout out to Will Power. Seeing Will's emotion with Miles in victory lane was honestly just really awesome and heartwarming to see.
Will Power is the GOAT. Great dude.
He said, "Go hug your mama first."
Yeah, I saw that. That's what you guys were talking about a minute ago there. Yeah, that was great. That was a great moment. A lot of great moments from this weekend. Obviously a huge elephant in the room coming up. Anything else from this weekend we want to talk about before we dive into that?
Alex Palou has been killing it this season. Already won Mid Ohio. That's his 4th win this season. That dude can drive.
Yeah, he's getting a chip for sure. There's no two ways about it, man. That's cool. And then they also saw Tony Kanaan is getting to stay on McLaren as an advisor, or Arrow McLaren rather. So that's a pretty cool deal that he gets to stay around there. And like I said, I've casually followed IndyCar for as long as I've followed NASCAR passionately, and I know that he's been around for a long time, and so to see him kind of be able to still stay in the sport is obvious. It was really nice. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. I'll go. What'd you say?
No, I was saying the Indy 500 champ goated.
Absolutely. If there's nothing else, I wonder where we even start talking about this iceberg of a weekend. I don't know. I mean, I guess let's just say this. Let's rewind the clocks back to Friday. Did you think Friday or even Thursday, because it's Sunday night right now, did you think on Thursday that this was going to go the way that it did with this big event with NASCAR at Chicago?
Yes and no.
Yes. Simply yes.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you why. I got faith in Chicago. I got faith in this road course. I have faith that NASCAR is going to do a great job, and they did. Even though they had a little issues with the rain delays and stuff, they had a little issues with some people coming the road course late at night. But off topic, what I'm trying to say is NASCAR did do a great job, and I really, really hope they come back next year, because your boy may go.
Okay, well, as a Chicago native, I'm going to give my answer why yes and no. I thought this weekend was going to be the way it was. Yes, for the on-track racing product, I knew we was going to get something special, like we ended up getting. First-time track, tight course. It's in the streets of Chicago. It's nothing that's never been done before in Chicago, street course, period. But what I didn't expect was not getting the Xfinity race going in all the way, and in that I didn't expect a huge rain delay. Even as a Chicago native, I knew July we really had really bad rain here in Chicago. It's like very terrible. But I didn't realize that Mother Nature decided, you know what? Let's just flood basically the city and the track for a good couple of hours. But overall, I am very happy with the way everything turned out. I hope they come back next year because, of course, this 3-year contract, this huge talks just in the industry, period, that it might just be a one and done deal. That's how everything is put together with the old mayor and we have the new mayor coming in. But I feel like this weekend is pretty successful. Yeah, that's really about it. So hopefully they come back next year. Hopefully I'll actually be able to go.
Yeah, I just wanted to say just thank you, NASCAR, for not giving up hope after they made an unprecedented decision to end the Xfinity race before it got to the halfway point or the end of stage 2. Glad they held out. Glad they allowed it to do everything they could for a cup race because, man, I don't think I would have wanted that race in the daylight. Just the parity of driving in the wet, the track drying, the pit strategy, NASCAR making the decision to shorten the race. It was fantastic. Just that in itself needs us to come back. Like we haven't even gotten to who won, but just off the strength of them knowing they did the right thing and running the race. A1 job. Bravo. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Next year.
I thought the racing product, it was a fantastic race. And I'll explain why. The race had really a little bit of everything. You had really just good quality racecraft. They were really hustling around the course. The course was racy. The conditions, whether dry and wet, and the strategies that went with that. Also, the variance of the course itself, asphalt and concrete. It provided a real challenge for the races, and you could tell it was a challenge for the drivers. You could see how the cars, the cars just making the most basic turns, you see how unsettled the rear ends were when they were trying to put the power down. They were being very finesse and stuff like that. But then you also had the absurdity. So you had a degree of absurdity because at the end of the day, we also want to be entertained, right? There's, people want to see kind of, they want to see something insane. And you want to see basically the parking lot incident where all the cars bunch up. It's just funny. It's funny to look at, it's just kind of cool to see because it's kind of, off the wall, it's an off the wall thing, but you didn't come away really looking at drivers saying they're incompetent. It was, you just took it for what it was. And that kind of makes it nice. And because of the road course, we had no stage cautions. You had natural cautions, but not too many. And natural cautions, even almost kind of, it was close to the end of the stage, so almost simulated the stage caution too. So it had everything, but not too much of everything. It was very varied. And then you had the great run at the end. It was just a great racing product all around. One of the better ones of the season.
Yeah, there are a few times in sports where you just get a perfect storm and you just get, a fantastic situation that probably may not have happened to begin with. But yeah, Thursday, when the truck started showing up and stuff like that in Chicago, I was incredibly nervous about it. I was just, because you didn't know. There was no precedent set. No one knew how this was going to go. What I love to see, despite some interactions on social media, that the fan reception, first and foremost, was great. I have been to a race that it has been a downpour in. I know that sucks, but for the fans that stayed around for the Cup race today, definitely got their money's worth, and I'm glad they stayed. It is certainly unfortunate the way the Xfinity race played out because I feel like that could have been just as much of a ball, but you win some, you lose some, I suppose, and I know that NASCAR was really just kind of like we got to get the main attraction done. We don't have any other option, so there was that. Just the media surrounding it, the events, the Bubba's Block Party, all that stuff. This truly was, a success, I think, in my eyes. And this is coming from somebody who 6 months ago, 3 months ago, a week ago was uncertain about what was really going to come of this. So, I really do hope that we get invited back next year and they can make this work next year because I think it was an awesome, awesome deal all the way around.
And I want to give a shout out to specifically the sanctioning body because, and here's kind of unfortunate, but there was a lot of, hope about the race, and I'm really talking about within the industry, but there was a very sizable amount of pessimism and doubt, particularly on the weekend. And, due to the transpiring of the event itself, people, pessimism was growing within the garage, but the sanction body, they really, they kept their nose to the grindstone. They pushed through. They got the boys out there on the track. They made a decision to cut short the laps, which actually, if you thought about it, it kind of added a little bit to the race because it almost like, remember in 2020 when they came back racing at Darlington, they had those inverted starts.
Mm-hmm.
So you had like mid-pack of the field and they were all of a sudden up front. That's kind of what happened. It kind of flipped it. It just flipped the race inverted because the strategy changed out. And so you had some cars who already just short, who just pitted, all of a sudden, hey, we all of a sudden can go all the way through here. And then you have the guys who hadn't pitted, they had to go pit and they went to the back, the faster guys. So now they have to fight through everything, right? So it just added extra detail. But shout out to NASCAR really pushing through. Like, you had Noah Gragson posting how their tires were literally floating away. Pit row was flooded. Tires, supplies, whatever. People were making little boats. Things were floating away. And, they stuck through it and they got a full-on Cup race in, and a very good one at that.
Real quick, before we change subject, as a Chicago native, I just want to say how cool it is, how as I'm looking out my window right now, through this entire conversation, about 4 to 5 haulers just passed by my apartment. And I just think that's just so cool, because even though I didn't get to go to the race, a little part of me still gets to see, the cars drive by in some capacity. Like, as I'm speaking right now, Harrison Burton's hauler just flew past my window on the I-94. So I think things like this can really bring people in. If you're in the city, you work in the city, yeah, you're going to be upset that we shut down downtown. I get that. But as a race fan of any motorsport, how cool would it be to get stuck in just your morning, daytime traffic and you're right behind, let's say, the 24 hour? It's stuff like that that can really just say, I know I don't like things being shut down right now because it messes up my commute, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a chance. And we saw that today. I mean, if you look at the broadcast, you see how many people lined up on the streets, not even in the grandstands, just on the streets next to the wall. I think street races like this just gives the fans more opportunity. I know with the tickets, it acted like it's basically a pit pass. Anybody and everybody had access to pit road and anything to get up close. So I really hope NASCAR comes back. I feel like this was a great experiment. It put on a great show. I'm for one shocked at how racing the track actually was because how tight it was. And let's be honest, the road courses this year with NASCAR have been a mess, but they pulled it off today, and I'm so dang proud of the sport that I've been defending since I was in elementary school.
Yeah.
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
Carl.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, I don't I'm happy that NASCAR decided to bring this to Chicago. I got family down there. I love Chicago so much, even though I really wanted to go though. But things happen. But even though that rain delays happened, like it was bad, but they still got through it. The racing was fantastic. Even though my boys didn't do well, but they fought though. But my point is successful, very very successful, and I really hope NASCAR could come back next year and do this all again. Because what a moment that we get to experience, and not only that, the pictures that people taking during the race was fantastic. So yeah, love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I got two things to say here. But before that, I absolutely want this race to come back next year. I hope that they work it out. And one thing that I'll say is, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I would love to see this event get the prestige of being a playoff race. I know that's hot, that's spicy, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it would be a fantastic playoff event. But beyond that, just to get this out of the way, because we talk about them every week. We are no strangers to the 23's performance today. And we discussed this before we started recording. In the sport, you have guys that are not good at road courses. There were champions of the sport that had just as a bad day today as he did. And you learn from it and you move on, and that's all usually said about it. I mean, he has proven that he has a talent to belong in the Cup Series. Today was just a bad day. I love the fact that he hopped on Twitter and said, "Look, I had a great time. Thank y'all for having me so much. It's been a blast, and we're gonna go on to the next one and move on." And that's all that needs to be said about it. So I know a lot of people during the race, it was just like, man, how bad can this go? But it's just like, hey, a lot of variables here. He's shown speed at road courses before. Just a lot of things going on, and hopefully with time it just gets better. And some of the most revered drivers in the sport didn't do F all on road courses forever. So I don't really care about it. It is fun, and Rashawn and I talked about it a minute ago. What really puts a focus on it and a highlight on it is the fact that 1/3 of the Cup schedule is now road courses. We used to have 2 a year. A lot of guys didn't care if they weren't good because, hey, it's 2 points paying races out of 36. We'll get through it. But now you've got, 6, and so now it's a little bit more, and serious. But that's my piece on that. Y'all can say what you want to about that. Let's not spend a whole lot of time on it. But obviously, I've been on the socials in the time frame between the race ending and now. We know what folks are saying, and we also know that people are not going to talk about Noah Gragson the same way they're going to talk about Bubba Wallace, and we know why that is. So so now that it's out there, we can move on from that. But y'all say whatever you got to say about that.
I will say real quick to that point, it took Jimmy Johnson, 7, 8 years in the Cup Series before he was even somewhat confident at the road courses. And he had Jeff Gordon, who was the road course king during our generation growing up as a teammate, as a car owner. So,
and he only has one win.
Right. Bubba has been, 6, 7 years in the Cup Series now, about 20 road course races under his belt. I'm not really worried, but people can say what they want to say, but the proof is in the pudding. A lot of our legends of the sport have been terrible at road courses, so as long as he performs on those ovals, that's all really that matters to me.
Right, because I'm gonna say this: Bubba got a top 5 and a top 10. I'm grateful because of that. He's trying his hardest, and eventually it's gonna get better, in my opinion. So Bubba is doing fine. Nothing wrong with him. I'm gonna need people who had the same energy to other drivers. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'm just gonna say that obviously he needs to be better, and unfortunately, the way the schedule's composed, we can't just write him off and be like, oh, well, it is what it is. As long as he performs well on the ovals, blah 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 blah. Because it takes too much of the schedule, and those are 6 races where you just write off, say, hey, I'm not that great. If you're in a playoff battle picture, which he is, he's only 9 points above Ty Gibbs, who just entered 16th. You can't just write him off, because those are races where other drivers are looking at you saying, oh, we know this guy isn't that good there. This is our chance to get some points off him. So, we have 2 more left in the regular season, Indy Road Course, Watkins Glen, and and there's nothing. I need to say he knows he's been working on there and whatever. Indy Road Course has been kind to him last year, in fact, both years really, and is always kind of a let's just say the racecraft really declines towards the end of particularly Indy Road Course, but we'll see what happens. There's some time in interim. Obviously, with other tracks he can be successful and win on. That's great. And but yeah, you got to be better on those, because if he was even a little bit better on the road course in previous years, he probably would already have a playoff appearance in his career at this point. And that's just the truth, I think.
I can just jump in and just say the reason why there's going to be more people coming at Bubba is mainly, you can bring performance into it, but it's just because of the expectations of that team. For a while, the beginning of Bubba's career, he was with RPM, really didn't expect much. He got a top 10, cool. He got a top 5, great. That was turned the season around. When how this deal came about, everybody already knows. It's just the expectations are there. Your team owner went out and got a top 5 driver to get as your teammate to help you excel, to help you get better, who's a road shark on road courses. Now, granted, Tyler had some issues today, but they made that decision to help Bubba, not necessarily to poach Tyler. So I feel like that's why there are going to be some naysayers, and so there are going to be some doubters on social media. We don't expect anything from Noah Gragson. He's the party boy, rips his shirt off, throws up on himself when he wins. We don't care. Nobody cares about Noah.
And another thing I'm gonna say is too, it's not just Bubba that's having issues. Like Tyler Reddick also, him and Bubba, the whole team had a rough month. So it's not just a Bubba issue. The whole team had a rough month. Both of them, will get back and bounce back. Of course, they got this. You go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, just it's not just a McDonald's versus Wendy's thing. It's just people don't have any expectations from Noah. They don't have any expectations from Legacy. Now next year when Legacy changes manufacturers, then they'll start putting some eyes on them and saying, what are you going to do with this move that you made to make yourself instantly more competitive overnight? But all Bubba can do is just read the criticisms he wants to or not. Just hone in and focus for next week. To everybody's point, the schedule changed to make this calendar year more road course heavy just because the car better suits that. and, we threw a loop in it, put the street course on here, but, he did what he had to do today thanks to attrition, and SVG getting a dub. He minimized, the points damage in, the standings, which is all that they really probably wanted to accomplish coming into this weekend. So, now it's back to normal. I'm sure that everybody's at the shop getting the Atlanta cars ready, and we'll see what song we sing next week.
Yeah, I'm confident about next week. I'm excited for next week. So kind of backpedaling a little bit to the race that we just finished. Really cool fact that, and Monte pointed this out, but the car that won tonight with SVG, was the car that Daniel Suarez won at Sonoma with last year. So that's pretty cool. But, little snippet. But what I was going to say was, I have to apologize for the Cole Custer slander last week, I guess.
Don't apologize for that to the ice cream man. He got to make Mickey Mouse win too.
We ain't focused on respect towards him though.
The slander's still there. He got a Mickey Mouse win.
No, I'm gonna say this though. We ain't worried about Cole Custer. We celebrate SPG tonight, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, look, Xfinity race didn't happen. That's unfortunate. I was super excited for Brad Perez to have another start. We just talked about him last week. Once again, shout out Brad. We all love Brad. I don't know. I don't think he's talked about when his next start is, but hopefully he gets to run Indy in a couple weeks. That'll be cool. Or I don't know, maybe even Mid-Ohio next, because the trucks go to Mid-Ohio next week, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. But yeah, shout out Brad. Xfinity race. They kind of sat on their thumbs about that, and it was kind of an embarrassment a little bit, but all that led up to a race that at the beginning of the year, I wouldn't have even put 50 cents on the odds of all this happening, on the race the track being nearly flooded at the beginning of the thing, it going from a wet to a dry race, it being, in the wee early evening hours on Sunday night, they had to fight darkness, and then SVG winning in the Project 91 car in his first start. Like I said, there are moments in the sport, in all sports, where things align perfectly and you cannot beat the outcome. And I think that, the racing product on track was great. It had its slips, the spills and thrills and all that good stuff. And, I'm super excited for the SVG win. I think everybody was. That was universally. Everybody was pumped about it. And, man, what an awesome, awesome evening.
That man can drive.
That man, his move on Justin.
Sheesh.
Disrespectful.
Absolutely. Just watching him come too, because I was just like, he was his fifth. Whatever. Anyway, because he was in fifth at one point. I'm like, oh man, that's cool, bro. SVG in fifth. That's awesome, man. It's great. And then all of a sudden he's in fourth because he's past Kyle Busch. And now I'm mad. And now all of a sudden he's in third, and I'm like, how did we get here? And through all of it, through restarts, all that stuff, he put it to the wood on them. And man, that was this is a race that'll stick with me for a very long time. There are certain races in my head that stick out with me. 07 500, Kansas last year, this one. Certain races. This is always going to stick out to me. This is one of those moments in the sports history.
Definitely Dega 2021, the fall race too. Can't forget about that.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, what a dang race, especially SVG. That man is him. He is him. A 3-time Supercars champion, over 80 wins. That man know how to drive. And this, and I in my mind, I wanted him to win, of course. Because he's no surprise road courses, but did I actually think that he was, but I didn't really think that he was really going to win. I'm like, what? He actually did it. That man put the foot down on Chase Elliott and Justin Haley. He was not playing.
In all fairness, he did have fresher tires, about 8 laps or something like that. But no, nothing taken away from him. It was a fantastic drive, fantastic performance. He's also he won the Bathurst 1000 twice with Garth Tander as his co-driver. Shout out to Garth, awesome driver. He you notice he did it with he raced in such a fashion. It wasn't dirty. It was clean. He sized him up. He used the circuit. It was a very measured way he competed and battled to get past those guys. But you could tell really under braking, he could drive that car so deep before he hits the brakes on it, and it gained so much time. It was ridiculous. And one thing I like is I don't know the composition of the fans, right? So I don't know how many fans were aware of Shane Van Gisbergen, but the initial pass, because remember he actually passed Haley twice, but the first one was nullified by the caution.
Right.
But the crowd reaction when he was getting past him into the corner, and it was just like the crowd was just going wild. So I don't know if they just knew who he was, or you could tell, somebody's like on the ascendancy here, somebody's really making a run at it or whatever. It was just great. And shout out to Justin Haley as well. I thought he battled really well at the front, resisting with Austin Dillon and Chase Elliott, and then his tires were worn out. And the second time when Gisbergen came back at him, Haley did a hell of a move on Lake Shore to try to get out front, and he almost lost it. He kept the car under control, but Gisbergen crossed him over. I mean, there's nothing you can do, and Haley knew it too, so it was really kind of a bonsai move to try to fight back. But it was just a great race, great product. One thing I will say really quick is Shane Van Gisbergen in the 91 car, Trackhouse, right? That's a Chevy team. Really, that's kind of a natural home because in Australia, Shane races Chevrolet. In Australia, he raced Holden for many years, and then when Holden closed down and closed the shop and they pulled out the series, Holden is also GM brand, just like Chevrolet. So he's always been a GM driver, but for Holden and then now with Chevrolet down in Australia. So this is a natural fit, and the next gen car in its development has its roots in Australian supercars. So this is the closest any Project 91 driver stepped into the next gen car. Like, this is the closest in terms of experience. So I'm not surprised he did very well.
Just in the back up a little bit on that, I also will say, Justin Haley absolutely had that dog in him, and we've talked a little bit before on the show about colleagues has kind of lost their way. And teams have that. Organizations have periods where they just are not as strong as they want to be, right? We get that. But for Justin Haley, to, after all that, to show up and show out like he did in that situation, and, and like I said, and run like he did, I mean, that was fantastic. So that, really cool for him too on that deal. And also, how about Kyle Busch, one of the first cautions of the day, just stuffing it and then winding up, being in contention at the end, kind of winning. I think he wound up finishing like 6th, right?
That was 5th.
5th. Oh, that's still a great day. So besides that, and besides just the whole presence and the whole enigma of this weekend, which again, great. I think a lot of people that are level-headed about the sport and its directions, and I want that to bold, underline, and emphasize what I just said, are happy with how things turned out. And I think that is what is important. But to speak to what Rashawn was saying about the Project 91, and well, actually, Jamal, you got something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm not really surprised how well SVG did today. Van Gisbergen, he is him. He is Timothy. Whatever terms you want to use. If you look at his record in the Supercar series, he is one of the best. even when he had the competition with Scott McLaughlin over there. He was always like, there was always those two battling for wins. And with how close the supercars are to Gen 7 is nowadays, I really wasn't shocked that he came out right off the truck in practice. He had pace. He almost won the pole. So I'm not really shocked about his performance, but I will say the one who shocked me the most today was Justin Haley. Just because how that fight he put up on those, what, I think it was about 16 lap hold times, I believe the broadcast said. I'm not really sure it's around that range, but he put up one heck of a fight, so definitely shout out to Justin, but I'm not surprised SVG did what he did today. I'm super proud of him. I know the track out guys are proud. So it was just one heck of a race. I'm really excited. I really hope NASCAR comes back.
Yeah, I mean, just shout out to SVG for making all of the naysayers be quiet, gave us a race that we're going to talk about through the end of the season. He did a masterful job getting back through the field, even on the fresher tires that he had. Shout out to Justin Haley. I mean, we haven't seen him with a great run like this, I think, since he won in Daytona. But I mean, like, you just know how fast he is, the way that he just got past Chase so effortlessly. I knew he was going to win the race. Like, Chase didn't even put up a fight. But the reason why I say thank you, SVG, for two things is, one, the underdog won. He's an underdog because he's not a full-time Cup regular. Obviously, he has tons of accolades and successes to his own right. But for him to come in, jump in, and win in a very foreign product, amazing job. And then the second thing I say, shout out to SVG for, all the teams are going to be drooling over his SMT data, trying to figure out how in the world that man was almost 2 seconds faster per lap.
Than
Almost
everyone.
2 seconds faster than everybody else in traffic when that car loves fresh air. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the NASCAR, I hate it for the people who, wanted to see the musical acts that they had set up. Hated to see, the people that got inadvertently dispersed from the venue on yesterday because of the lightning. Thankful everybody stayed around. Thankful it had a great crowd. Thankful that, it lived up to the hype. I think it surpassed the hype for me personally. And NASCAR in the city of Chicago would be foolish if we don't run this back next year.
Yeah. With SVG, I followed supercars for years, and I remember SVG coming up in the SBR, that stands for Stone Brothers Racing, Ford Falcon, the blue one. And I remember he was very fast, a little bit of a wild child on the racetrack, you know. And I remember he got his first win, and that was really cool to see. And it's always been extremely quick. And then he moved on to sports cars. He won the Bathurst 12-hour. He's finished. He did very well in the Blanc Pond series, and he ran IMSA as well, 24 hours of Daytona and stuff like that. So very fast, very quick. But Justin Haley, we actually kind of underrate how good of a road race he actually is. In the truck series, he actually won one of those I should say infamous, not famous, infamous most sport races. He was the guy who won after John Hunter Nemechek took out Cole Custer on the last corner. He was the guy. He was in third. So, but whether most sport, Haley at Road America, just a very competent road racer.
Justin Haley is extremely talented, and he has certainly put in the work to get to where he's at now. I'm not disputing that, and nobody else should. One thing I wanted to mention at the top of the show that I forgot to is that I just randomly had Twitter on my desktop opened up, and to see like NASCAR just trending on its own, I think is really, really, really cool. And I think that there is definitely a really big impact from this. I think a lot of people that, again, just weren't even privy to the sport managed to stumble their way into this week. And yeah, and that's fantastic. But I don't have anything left to say about this week. Like I said, I think it brings out some of the best elements in American stock car racing. Right? They like to advertise races as tailgate parties and stuff like that. Well, you have the entertainment venues in that atmosphere. You have a track that is certainly suited for this car. I think that we've seen and a crowd that seems fairly receptive of it. So hopefully, like I said, the partnerships and all that align correctly so that next year they can bring this event back, and hopefully weather cooperates a bit more for us on that, so we can get more than one series in. And then if anybody that's got any closing comments on that before we hop on to something else that me and Rashawn were talking about.
I got a question for all y'all. If you could think of one driver that want to drive the Project 91 car or the 67 car in 2011 racing. I mean, two drivers. Who drivers do you have in mind for those two rides in the future? I'm gonna go first. Obviously, I want Lewis Hamilton to drive the 67 car, and for Project 91, I think I'm gonna do Joseph Newgarden. Yes, sir.
You know, as controversial as this is, and I guess a Ford team will have to open up the door, so we probably won't see it until 2026. Wink, wink. I'd like to see Max Verstappen in a stock car. And then obviously we could pick Lewis for the 67, but just with Ford's upcoming partnership with Red Bull and F1, I'd like for that to open a door for Max to see if he can run away or at least run with the Cup guys in this Gen 7 car.
Well, my question, Monte, would have to be the Vander Linden brothers. They are Kevin and Sheldon Vander Linden are two accomplished GT3 racers. And I just want to see how they would get along in the Cup Series, whether it's a Project 91, the Trackhouse, or the 67 with 2311. I just want to see how they go. They've won the Nürburgring 24 hours multiple times. They've won Spa 24, Bathurst 24. Any big GT3 endurance race you can name, one of the Vander Linden brothers has won it. So I would like to see how they would fare in the Cup Series.
Man, that's a hard toss. 'Cause yeah, I don't want to say Lewis Hamilton, but I'm gonna say Lewis Hamilton. I think it would be really cool for the 91. But I mean, unfortunately, there's not a Ford team that participates in this because my other choice would be Scotty Mack. Let me back this up a little bit. You know who I would really love to see in either one of those entries? I would love to see Ambrose get another shot. I think that these cars were really suited for him, and it's good equipment. I think that'd be really cool to see, but I doubt it would ever happen. So yeah, I'd have to say either Marcus Ambrose to come back. I understand that he's a former driver, but he's been away for so long. It'd be cool, but either him or Scotty Mack would be my two choices on that. So I guess outside of that, me and Rashawn were talking earlier about, do you guys think that with SVG showing up in the 91 and winning like he did today, do you guys feel like maybe is the Cup Series not as stacked as we think that it is. Like, it's not as hard to compete because Jenson Button had a pretty good day too. Or was this just a one-off or what? And so you guys can give your thoughts on that.
I mean, to me, I feel like this opens up a door of conversation. SVG was quoted in his post-race interview saying the top 10 guys in V8 supercars can probably do the same thing he did. NASCAR wants to get their growth back, grow the sport more. I have a Clash idea. Top 10 in points, us, top 10 in points, them, put it in the Daytona road course, and as a part of Speed Weeks, and let's put the money where the mouth is. Put $2 million up for the winner or the winning team if you want to do it like Forza style, and just see. I think competition breeds competition. Like I said on our earlier topic, I truly think that all the engineers are gonna unpack SVG's data from this race just to see where are they missing to have that much speed in their own cars, and we're probably gonna get a much better Indy road course race because of today. So I say line them
up. Jared, you make that point, what Shane said, and that was oof, that's rough. Because the top 10, if I recall correctly, I don't have the list in front of me, but I'm trying to think of 10 drivers in the supercars who I think probably could do well. One name has already been thrown around before. He's actually already visited the States with RCR because he has there's interest there. Brody Kostecki, if I recall correctly, he's actually leading the championship. So I fully believe that he could do just exactly what Shane did. So I believe that. There's another guy, Chaz Monster, extremely talented, Bathurst 1000 winner, really awesome. I 100% also think he could do the same thing. Anton De Pasquale, he's pretty decent. Would he do the same thing? I'm not sure. Maybe. Cam Waters, 100%. I think he's definitely talented enough to win. I just named 5 right there. There's Will Davidson. Will Davidson, very good driver. Then there's David Reynolds, also a very good driver. Mark Winterbottom, awesome older guy, very good driver. There's a lot of good drivers in supercars. So based on his statement, and he knows the paddock way better than me, right? So I have no reason to doubt what he said, honestly. Some stick out as more obvious than others, but that just says a lot. I just think that it is Shane is literally one of the most talented drivers in the world, okay? Everybody talks about Kyle Larson. Shane Van Gisbergen came up here and beat Kyle Larson over the head, in his debut. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways, it does, you think that in a one-off race, you wouldn't let the guy, basically the new boy, come in and just beat you, because what would you do?
Destroy.
You were destroying. I mean, what are you going to do? He can't get revenge on you. Now, single file restarts did help a lot, right? If it was double file restarts, I don't think we're having this conversation at all. And the fact that this course was new for everybody, so Shane had it was a little bit more equal playing field, but I do think there is a lack of it seemed like they just kind of let him over. And Chase Elliott he mentioned that, it almost felt a little bit embarrassing. Even at the talent level that Shane is, it was a little bit embarrassing for him to come in his first start and win. This is the first time it's been done since, was it 60 years?
Yeah, they said it was like 60 years since it last happened. I had the stat up and I just lost it that quick.
60 years. And there's a reason it takes that long, right? So let's turn, I'll let everybody answer, but do we also think that a cup driver could come over to supercars and win on debut? Do you think that would happen?
No. I don't know. Yeah, I know that they're similar, but I think that I just don't think that there's anybody in the Cup field, and this is a terrible thing to say. I don't think that Project 91 winning a day makes the Cup Series look bad. However, I also do not feel like there is anyone in the Cup field, even God himself, Kyle Larson, who could go into the V8 series and win on their first start. I don't know what the significant difference about it is, but I just feel like there's a learning curve to go from one to the other. And, I don't feel like, they would win, on the first round at all.
I'm gonna have to agree with Carl. I feel like SVG is a one-time thing with the whole project. 91 thing with them winning today. I mean, SVG is super talented, and he's just very good. He has a lot of street course experience. I feel like he most likely, probably besides McDowell and Umdinger, had the most experience on street courses today. So obviously that was probably a slight advantage. And again, as I said earlier, the Gen 7 and the supercars in Australia are basically like blood cousins at this point. They're so similar but still different. Maybe if where we have to think about who are the best road course races in the Cup Series, I think maybe I would probably say AJ Allmendinger might have a chance if, let's say, he decides to go through Bad First or the Gold Coast race. He might have a chance to win, but I don't see any Cup superstars today going over to Australia for one off and winning. That series is just way too competitive, and they have way more experience than anybody else on those type of tracks.
Yeah, I think the pacing and everything of those races, I just think it's a different monster altogether for a lot of reasons. So I'll just put it like that. But what do the rest of you guys think about that?
Cool, fantastic. That's it. No.
Yeah, hey, man.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Hey,
he's still mad about Christopher Bell's stuff in it.
No, yeah.
Christopher Bell's sold.
I'm pissed about that.
Oof.
Yeah, I am pissed about it. But my boy SVG did bring it home, so I'll say that though. But I just hope that I know I'm probably dope, but I'm just saying like I hope like NASCAR can do like more street courses like around like I'll say like Long Beach, Nashville, shit, even Detroit. Unless too much language, I'm sorry. But what I'm trying to say is like if you want to grow the sport more, do that, and then like Bubba's block party, him bringing like us people like us like y'all too, new people to the sport. It makes my day because I want to see my people to have fun in the sport and like yeah.
I mean, that you bring up a good point. Like, I know IndyCar does a lot of street courses. Will our cars fit on those courses the way they're designed? Could we run Long Beach? Could we run a Nashville street course?
Absolutely.
Could we run a Detroit street course? Too wide? Too heavy?
Yeah, well, the pedigree is not there for them to run Long Beach in those big ass cars. I'm sorry. Nashville is an interesting subject and concept, and you know what? Maybe we don't go back to Chicago, but maybe we get a Nashville doubleheader in 2024. We get the fairgrounds and we get the Nashville GP. That'd be cool too.
Ooh.
Maybe St. Pete. Is St. Pete street course wide enough for?
I think so.
Yeah, I
It
would
might
say.
be.
I mean, GT cars, they all run Long Beach. I just don't know that NASCAR stock cars would have the best time there. But that's just me. I mean, whatever. But that is a great point though that Bonte brought up, because if for whatever reason powers that be don't allow us to go back to Chicago, I don't think we should get rid of the idea of running street courses altogether, because it is a fantastic culmination of a good track type for these cars. We've seen competition, obviously, crashes. People go to races, they watch races for crashes. It's just part of life, and then the entertainment spectacle of it. I mean, so I think this opens up a whole new avenue. The only thing that I ask, do not oversaturate with it because it worked one time. Don't make this the new part of the new brand. We don't need that.
Boom.
Do one a year and we're good, you know?
I agree with your point, but I think one big thing that's being overlooked is why I think particularly this race was successful in terms of racing product was because NASCAR used single file restarts the whole time. Time. And
then
think of the Indy road course with this, if we had single file restarts, the Indy road course wouldn't have the reputation it has for stock cars. I think there's very little, and they talk about it from time to time, there's very little respect amongst the drivers in the field. And you can nullify that with the single car restart. But yeah, I think there's a place for street course. I think it should only be one race a year because it keeps it special. Hey, they're racing on the street. I think they should also race in Seattle, maybe, because one, there's a big gap in the Cup Series. Ben Kennedy, who says he wants to race all over the country, there's a huge gap in terms of Cup presence in the Pacific Northwest. Huge. It's just a big black hole of nothing. The only thing up there is the Portland Xfinity Series. And there's a track circuit already laid out for you in the Gran Turismo video game, the Seattle circuit. That was a thing. It was based on the real life streets of Seattle. Although some roads would have to be adjusted because that circuit was based on when there was only one stadium, which the Kingdome, and now there's two, the baseball and the football teams. There's two of them now. So, and the viaduct doesn't exist anymore. It's a tunnel. I'm not biased at all when I mention Seattle, so we're just going to speed past that, but whatever.
Last thing I'm going to say about this, though, did you see, all the fans, on the sidewalks, man?
Yeah.
A lot of them, man. That's what I like to see in the future. Love that.
Yeah. Is anybody else going to say anything before I hop on this real quick?
Yes. I'm happy to see Alex Bowman selling.
Oh boy, slander hours. Look, man. A lot of people sold today and did some silly things. I thought it was going to be a career day for Corey LaJoy, and it did not turn out to be that way.
He had a great start. He had a great move.
Oh yeah, fantastic start. Yeah, absolutely. What I will say though about to speak to Vontae's point and everybody's point about this weekend, and we can talk about something else if we want to. Is there was a video that I retweeted. I think everybody saw where they were interviewing people at the block party, and this little boy was like, they could have went anywhere else and they came here. I think that speaks volumes for accomplishing NASCAR's mission of bringing in new people, because we have a very unique perspective on this. NASCAR is not prevalent in an urban environment, and I don't mean urban in with the negative connotation that certain spotters would present it as. It just doesn't exist in inner cities because we're not adjacent to that kind of stuff. So I think for them to put it out in front of these people, because I think we all discovered racing probably because we knew somebody that was white. Or maybe not, I don't know, but that's how I discovered it, right? So I think to put that in front of people who have never thought about it before, and for them to say, you know what, I'm glad they came, is a mission success. Obviously, that's the biggest win for me for all of this. The whole thing went great, but that was a huge, huge deal for me to see that reaction.
You mentioned the urban aspect, and anyone who lives in those urban areas, most racetracks by nature aren't in urban areas because obviously what they are, they have to be kind of out there, for all the land and whatever they encompass, right? So most people aren't thinking about traveling 45 minutes, hour and a half, 2 hours, what have you, to the big racetrack to see, a race. So the idea that you say, okay, NASCAR, we're going to bring the race to them. Now, obviously, street racing has been a thing for years and for many other disciplines, whether it's F1, you name it, it's always been there. And in fact, racing as a motorsport, as we know it, started on the streets because there was no racetracks yet, right? It started on the streets. Where else were the first cars, the automobiles were going to, race each other, right? So the idea that you bring them back, where it's like, hey, we could just walk from my house and we can walk to turn 1, 2, 3, whatever. People are going to do that. People who don't even care about motorsport, they're going to at least have a look or a passing look and be curious. Hey, there's a bunch of fences going up on roads and, you hear cars speeding out or whatever. It's just, it does really bring, you say, hey, maybe you never thought about coming to our house, but hey, we're going to bring the race to you. And that really goes a long way with a lot of people.
Right, 100%. And Jamal can speak to this specifically, but I do want to say one little thing about that. And because I kind of misspoke. There are racetracks, obviously, in heavily populated areas. I think of Atlanta, I think of Texas Motor Speedway, I think of Kansas as in Kansas City. But the culture behind that and the fan interaction and getting the fans' eyes on the sport does not exist in that capacity, though. Those tracks are simply just, they might as well be warehouses to people that just aren't aware of the culture around stock car racing in America. And what this did was this took that culture and put it right in people's front yards, so to speak. And that's why I think it was such a great deal for people who normally wouldn't think about it. Because for example, I am at a facility that is within spitting range of Texas Motor Speedway probably once every other week. I've asked people that work in that facility, have they ever gone to the races? And people have told me before they didn't even know that NASCAR raced. They didn't know that was a racetrack. They thought it was a stadium or something. So I think that goes to prove the point that I'm saying that NASCAR Chicago accomplished what tracks in the heart of heavily populated areas can't even accomplish, I think, in some capacity. And that's all I got to say about that.
I have to agree, Carl, because as a kid growing up in Chicago, going through the Chicago public school system, I was basically the only kid that watched NASCAR. And I got a lot of flack, and I mean a lot of flack for watching. Let's be honest, presumably a white man's sport, quote unquote, right? But throughout the entire time since NASCAR announced they were coming to Chicago, since Bubba announced the block party happening at the DuSable Black History Museum, which is actually in a very predominant black neighborhood, I've got nothing but straight DMs from the exact same people who used to make fun of me and make me cry at home for watching NASCAR, DMing me, asking me everything they need to know about NASCAR because they were excited that a race was coming here. So both Bubba's Block Party and NASCAR Chicago definitely knocked it off the park of bringing the race to us and our culture. And I just think it's so awesome because this is something I've been dreaming about since basically I started watching NASCAR in 2004. I just want to see, people that look like us in the stands or on the track, and they definitely accomplished this. They knocked it out the park. They get a 10 out of 10 for me. And I'm just so happy this event was a success. And again, I pray that both the city of Chicago and NASCAR keep up the deal for their 3-year contract all 3 years, because it was just so awesome and so refreshing having those people who would literally sit down and talk to me like I'm a dog for watching NASCAR over NBA, NFL, and baseball, right? Come up to me or just DM me and ask me everything they need to know. In the clips of the local news I saw those exact same people at Bubba's Block Party. I saw them on the newscast just getting interviewed for being a first-time NASCAR fan coming to Chicago. So if that was NASCAR's goal to get us into the sport more, they knocked it out of the park. Definitely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Carl, I'm gonna say this last time, and then you could transition. I'm sorry about this, man. Real quick, I was the only kid during middle school and high school that used to watch NASCAR, so obviously. But I didn't really get people didn't really make fun of me. They was actually cool with it. I remember two of my friends that from from middle school, they actually gave me, I'm not even joking. So he gave me 2 Kyle Busch diecasts, M&M's and sneakers, and the other one gave me like a I can't remember the brand, was it Tom's Chips number 42 car? I can't remember, but they knew I was a NASCAR fan. That was hella cool with it. Like obviously Chicago and stuff. So if they in Chicago, I hope they experience what NASCAR is. Sorry,
You know, we all share stories about how it was rare for us, you know, to come across others in our community who watched NASCAR who hadn't, you know, or sometimes we even got ridiculed for it. But there's between us, I'm sure there's no shortage of stories of seeing one of us walking around wearing NASCAR jackets. That was the thing back in the day. People wearing M&M's, or was it Johnny Benson Cheerios?
Man, everyone you can think
NASCAR
of.
jackets was the thing, bro.
Man.
In like the late 90s, early 2000s. That was fashion.
Man, early 2000s, I'm in middle school, I'm in high school, guys are wearing the jackets. It has always been so funny to me, especially in the early 2000s, where, you know, NASCAR had it was like 6 degrees of separation from, you know, urban and rap culture kind of, cause like there was acknowledgement there. Dale Jr. had a lot to do with that. And we can dive into that one day, and that'd be a great conversation to talk about. But yeah, I mean, it was always crazy that people would, wear the jackets, know nothing about the sport. And then I know everything about it. People are like, man, Carl, you watch this stuff, don't you? And I'm sure we all have stories like that, and it's so crazy. But, you know, that's what this is about. This is bridging the gap. They know of us, now they know about us. And that is what's important. You know, that is the important part to that. Absolutely. Go ahead.
You see people you see videos of Naomi Osaka, the tennis player. She's wearing a Dale Jr. jacket. Russell Westbrook actually went his pregame outfit was wearing a NASCAR jacket going to the stadium for a game. It's just like, we wear the stuff, and NASCAR just like, hey, bring try to be like, hey, how about you come out and see, you know? So I think this was a masterstroke for NASCAR, because you have a bunch of people, they know, exactly as you say, they know of us. They know NASCAR exists. They usually probably think us no better than a fashion thing. Oh, they make cool Jackson stuff. Okay. Are they going to go to a race? Probably not. So bring the race to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so speaking of, you know, we were talking about, you know, being in urban centers and stuff like that, and you know, packed areas. We're packing up from Chicago. We're going to Hotlanta this weekend. You know, there's the first time this track's going to be at night. I still have not sold on New Atlanta. I don't see why we had to change it at all. I mean, there is, and we don't have a lot of time to put on this, but I will say there is no more present and evident, suggestion that NASCAR is really trying to grab ratings from, the general fan than turning Atlanta into a super speedway, because Atlanta, through different cut packages, through everything, always produced great racing. And yeah, it needed to be revamped. I mean, not revamped, but repaved, sure, or the surf has done something too. But through 20-something odd years of watching, Atlanta, Texas before they ruined it, Charlotte were all 3D oval tracks that I always look forward to because they always put on great racing. So, but going to Atlanta, it's a Sunday night race, which is still kind of odd. But I get doing it for temperature, for heat reasons or whatever. I just hope it's not a wreck fest, and I hope Bubba comes out with a good result. And that's it, because other than that, I'm not particularly thrilled about it, but, that's just me being an old crotchety man, I guess.
You are.
Absolutely, dude.
This race will be a race. It will certainly be a race of all time. I'll leave it at that.
I'm gonna say this though. I'll make it real quick. First, this is not only this is obviously a super speedway race, like a mini super speedway race, but this is the first time, I think the first time in 10 years since we had a 11 night race. I think.
Man, has it been that long? You might be right on that. Yeah, it's been a minute.
The last winner was Kyle Busch. The last winner was Kyle Busch. Yeah. and the Gen 6. Never gonna forget.
Yeah, I have that diecast.
Oh, you lucky. You so lucky.
Yeah, or I had it. I don't know if it's, I might still have it. I don't know.
Good.
But yeah. What were you saying, Rashawn?
I was gonna say
Okay.
even though Bubba had we still don't know what happened in early spring. Hopefully that won't happen. I have full confidence that Bubba's gonna be is gonna do really well next Sunday. Unfortunately, I won't be watching it because I'll be at Six Flags during the time, but I have hope.
That might be a better idea. I should join you.
Yeah.
Hey, you do, man.
Yeah. Hey.
Atlanta's fucking mid, bro.
Yeah, man. It is what it is. I mean, but honestly, I'll never get over the fact that they announced it, that NASCAR announced the new Atlanta with them saying, well, look, trust us, bro. We built the whole deal in iRacing. And that's how they announced that. I was like, man, come on. You got to do better than that. Yeah, like I said, I don't have any thoughts. I mean, Bubba's good at drafting tracks. This race last year, they were off. And then, obviously, this race earlier this year, just wasn't really together there. But the Fords seemed to really have that locked down. The one race out of the year, the Fords seemed to have that deal locked down. So, but like I said, I'd hope it turns out good for them, and that's about it. It'll be cool to see it at night. Maybe that plays a difference into it. I don't know. But, what do the rest of you guys think about it?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that with NASCAR having another Sunday night race for strange reason, that it breeds the competition that, we think it is typically at night. The track temperatures are cooler, the cars are more gripped up. Maybe there's some more, parity. Personally, I'd like for them to not run the super speedway package here. Let them run the 1.5 mile package. It's 1.5 miles. Yeah, you built it, air finger quotes, to replicate a super speedway race. But I think the race would be better if you just let them run the normal package. The normal package of 1.5 miles is fantastic. This track having progressive banking should lend it to be fantastic. Just let the cars run the way they're normally supposed to do. But they're going to be nose to tail for the entire race. So hopefully, you qualify up front, you track position. The only way you could really invoke a pit strategy is if there's a all hell break loose wreck and half the field gets bent because somebody doesn't know how to block properly. But we'll see. Hopefully the Toyota guys can get their act together. Everybody and the Toyota camp can score some points and then move forward. What's after Atlanta? I hate to be looking ahead like that, but where we go after? I think I got on my phone.
Either Pocono or Michigan. Never mind.
New Hampshire.
We go to New Hampshire.
Oh,
yeah, we might have to skip
I got high hopes for New Hampshire.
Speaking of Toyota,
skip that episode.
Hold on, real quick, Rashawn. Especially my boy Bell got that dub, and then Bubba finished third, top 5 all day that race.
That was the draft scheme. That was the power of the draft scheme. DraftKings scheme.
Yeah. Well,
DraftKings.
I mean, New Hampshire is relatively similar to Gateway in some aspects, and they did have some speed at Gateway. So, again, it's not about doubting if he can do it. It's just what can go wrong to prevent him from doing it. So, there's, it's always looking forward, man. But 8 more weeks. Yeah, what's up?
Speaking of, something happened after this race. Actually, if you look at the driver's standings and the playoff standings, all 6 Toyota drivers are in the playoffs right now. If it ended, this regular season ended today.
Yee.
Man.
Ty Gibbs got into number 16.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Man.
He's 9 points behind Bubba now, which is crazy because David Wilson got on radio, Sirius XM interview, and said our goal was 5. And basically he was calling out, but not calling out Bubba specifically.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a win
to be the 5th because 4 are locked in by winning. So we need a 5th.
and to be entirely honest, I think a win from either one of those two is possible in the next 8 weeks and lock all 6 of them in. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all. We've got, like I said, we've got Atlanta, you've got Michigan, you've got Pocono, you've got New Hampshire. I don't know what's in between. There's 2 road courses in between those dates, or 1, 2 with Watkins Glen and Indianapolis. There's Bristol. That's all. There's Bristol playoff race.
And then you got Daytona in the regular season.
In Daytona, yeah. So there's ample opportunity if not to garner enough points to get in, to opportunity for him to win and get in, and they can lock all 6 cars in. So, just got to mitigate the mistakes. But that's it. I'm looking forward to it. I might be able to watch it next. I don't know, But yeah, so that's that. So, any other notes? Everybody looking forward ahead for the week?
Well, what I'm looking forward to is technically looking back, the last year of the traditional Atlanta, 2021, where both races were bangers. The spring race was Ryan Blaney, coming back on Kyle Larson. We're not going to get into Kyle Larson's overhyped 2021 season. Yeah, I said overhyped. But
we're full of controversy, folks.
But Ryan Blaney come back. He might have had a little help from Joey Logano. You never know. And then the second race, consequently, it was the Bush and Bush show, where Kurt might have got a little help from his teammate at the time, Ross Chastain. And the track wanted to undress itself. A big piece around the start-finish line.
Yeah, I remember
broke
that,
up and had to repave it.
Yeah, I remember that whole ordeal, actually, with the Bush and Bush thing, too, yeah.
So, but yeah, honestly, I'll be honest with you, I'm not looking forward to this race at all. I might go to the casino and put in my action. I might. I didn't put any action for today because I had no idea what was going to happen. So, but we'll see. But yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, wrap it up like we always do. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow us on social. Victory Lane Vibe Podcast, VOV Vibes Podcast on Twitter. We're on Apple. Welcome all of our Apple users. We're streaming on Apple in addition to Spotify. Tell all your friends.
Yeah.
Come listen to us.
Also, you got to say that a second time because Jamal had something to say and you cut him off. So
bad.
Now as your I stole a pie penalty, you got to say all that again after he finishes.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to double back that I have no ambition for the new Atlanta. I am a certified plate track Atlanta hater. I love the old Atlanta because it's just, I don't know, maybe it's the old head in me, even though I'm 27, right?
No, that's definitely old head in you, boy.
But maybe it's the old head in me because there was just something special about Atlanta. I mean, you had Lamagna and Earnhardt's finish. You had Harvick and Gordon's finish the very next year. You had Everest and Johnson a few years later. Don't forget I want to say it was the fall Atlanta race, Jimmy versus Gordon, 2011.
Man, that is, I will put on
anger
that
race. Anger.
Flag to flag, that race.
So special about the old Atlanta. And then they just ruined it.
And then don't forget Kyle Busch's first ever win with Toyota win in Atlanta.
Right. Yeah. Man, yeah, Atlanta is hallowed ground, and not hallowed ground, but it is special. It's a special place. A lot of great things have happened there. Alan Kulwicki's deal. I mean, just so many awesome things have taken place. Kevin Harvick's first win after Dale passing. And you shouldn't mess with that. Everybody loved Atlanta. Universally, it was loved. Who are you going at? The same. I'm gonna stop. I promise. But the same way that boomers were like furious, who are you going after with this NASCAR Chicago track? I share the sentiment with who are you going after with this Atlanta Superspeedway? Nobody wanted this at all. Plate racing the last few years has been abysmal anyway because you only finish with 6 cars. Why would you put it on a mile and a half track? I mean.
I think it's a good experiment. But I think if NASCAR wants to take 1 to 1.5 mile ovals to turn into a plate track, it should have been Texas. They want Texas to repay, so I think Texas is probably the best place to do this experience. Not Atlanta.
They had this idea before, Jamal. Remember at Mile and a Half, they did the All-Star race. I think it was 2015 All-Star race at Charlotte. Yeah, it was 2015 because it was the year after A.J. Allmendinger won at Watkins Glen, so he was in the All-Star race. They had a special package to run, make almost like a super speedway on Charlotte.
Oh, yeah. And it didn't work. And then they still doubled down on it.
They doubled down on it. What was it? 2018, which is how we got the
550. Yeah, 2018
package.
Yeah, so, 18 with the Xfinity spoiler on the back with the dog ears and all that stuff. God, that's abysmal.
Hey, if New Atlanta,
they had that twice right.
Go ahead.
Do what?
They had that twice right with the spoiler, the Xfinity spoiler. I remember. Yeah, because Larson won with that package in 2019.
That was in 19. They did the same thing in 18. I forgot what the difference was. But in 15, they had messed around with that high downforce deal, trying to make tracks like plate races, and it wasn't great.
It did not work at all.
Yeah, it was horrendous because they tried it at Charlotte for the All-Star. They tried it at Indy. They tried it at Michigan, and all three races just were. So
yeah. Hey, Carl, if New Atlanta has 1 million haters, then I am one of them.
Absolutely. If they have no haters,
then I am one of them.
Yeah. Preach on that.
I love the track. I don't care.
Well, there you go, everybody. There's the key demographic they're going after. No, it's all love, but
yes, sir.
Anybody got anything else? Okay. Well, in that case, Jared, go ahead and give us the rundown one more time.
Time for the outro, baby.
Okay, here we go.
All right. So, y'all write this down. Have an Instagram, Victory Lane Vibes Podcast. We have a Facebook account, Victory Lane Vibes Podcast. We have a Twitter account, VL Vibes Podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, tell everybody. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcast. Come give us the love. We were really excited to get this kicked off the ground. We're gaining traction as we go. The more people we get to listen to us, the more fun stuff we get to do. Maybe you can see our logo on a Brad Perez car coming soon in the future. You know what I'm saying? Get these views up for us.
I don't know. Look, man, we in the middle of a recession. Even if they won't say that.
When did recreation get passed in Virginia? Let me know. What year was that?
Is it cheaper for a truck, Raja?
I'm sure.
Look,
I'm sure it is, but also
the way my bank account's set up.
Hey, yeah, for real, bro.
Hey. There's a lot of lanes, but I ain't with that one.
A lot of lanes. Y'all keep coming back now. You hear?
It's all love.
You need to flip more cars, sir.
Coming out of my budget. It's coming out the collective budget.
Yeah, well, we're gonna sell Devontae's diecast collection to get fun to wrap the truck.
Yep. Yeah, hate to see it, but
hey, Jared, how'd you feel?
I don't mind it.
About
I got $3 to the fund. Okay.
That works.
Hey, Jared, considering what you do for a living, which I won't say, but how did you feel about? I think it was last year when Red Bull Racing they put, being affiliated with Honda, they put a specific brand on the back of the wings when they were racing in the U.S. rather than Honda.
So you know what? Like, genuinely, that was dope. The only thing I didn't like is there was no promo around it. On the F1 telecast, they mentioned it once, but that was like the biggest change for the livery for when they came to America last year or in 2021. Hopefully they do that again when they come to COTA, and hopefully TV grabs a hold of it, especially now with Red Bull changing engine manufacturers.
Real quick, what brand did they put on the back?
Oh, the Acuras.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. I remember that now.
They put Acura when they raced in the U.S.
Yeah. That was
the Acura on there.
We also. Oh, go ahead.
But I don't think they can do it because now, even though Honda makes their motors, they're not branded as Honda motors. They're branded as Red Bull motors.
It was really cool, right? Because at COTA, they also had Gasly basically hooning an original NSX.
Yep.
Around.
I remember that. Yeah.
And you could see him like shifting and stuff like that. Like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, Red Bull is just so just covered in convoluted brand identity BS. But regardless, we forgot to cover F1, and I'm gonna run you down with F1 in about 5 seconds. You ready? Here we go. Max Verstappen won. That's it. That's all there is to it. He won the sprint by 20 seconds. I don't even know what he won the race by. It doesn't even matter, dude.
It doesn't matter. F1's a joke.
Dude,
It's garbage.
Real quick about F1. 100 lap times got deleted in a 71 lap race. The race control set bleeping the entire race. I don't know what they were doing.
They had the Austrian School for Blind Children and race control there. That's about all they could do.
I think they just allowed Mike Massey back.
Man, it was ridiculous. I'm telling you what, I'm every night before I go to bed, man, on my knees and I'm praying, and I'm just like, please let this dude Max just be like, you know what? I won all the races I want to. I'm taking the next 4 or 5 weeks off, bro. Let Yuki have that seat for like 4 weeks after he wins the title. I'm so over this, man.
So I'll just I'm gonna jump in right quick before we end things. This is how trifling Max's lead was. He had a 24-second lead. Checo had the fastest lap. This man pits with 3 laps to go, puts on softs, and sets the fastest lap coming to the checkered flag.
That's a big move. He made a
petty mayonnaise.
It's like
If I'm Checo, I'm throwing hands in the paddock. I don't care.
It's like the third time this year that he's done that to him. And it's just like, bro, they just letting it happen, bro. It's just like, me personally, I wouldn't take a level of disrespect. I'm sorry. Me personally, bro, we have to have a conversation.
Look, in my opinion, Max wouldn't have won the 21 championship without Checo. He's just treating Checo like dog water. But that's all I'm
He wouldn't have won that championship without Michael Massey either.
Yeah, that's what's so crazy. Is Sergio showed up to be a teammate in hopes that, like, okay, I'll get recognized for my efforts and get put on an even playing field, and then you rewind to Miami where, like, the whole race they're basically like giving Checo the wrong information so that Max can catch him. Come on, bro.
What was it? It was Brazil last year when Max already won the championship. They trying to lock up constructors. Max, let Checo by. Max just ignores them.
I already told you guys I'm not doing that.
Like, be for real, bro.
Hey,
and
at least Max is fast. Imagine George Russell has the same attitude trying to do that stuff. Like, bro.
And that's the end of our show.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
about to say some terrible things. See y'all next week. We love y'all. It's all love. Thank y'all so much for giving us a chance. And we'll talk to y'all post Atlanta.
Have a good one.
Peace.